It's frustrating. It's not that I didn't intend to pay it, because I do intend to pay my student loans. It's just that the amount was so high.
Being so young and in so much debt for doing something that I thought was going to better my life, it has absolutely been the biggest regret of my life.
Starting today, tens of millions of Americans with federal student loan debt are expected to resume making those payments. This comes after a 3-year pause during the COVID pandemic and after the Biden administration fought to forgive up to $20,000 in student debt for millions of eligible borrowers. The conservative majority on the Supreme Court put an end to that effort in June. About 1 out of 8 Americans carry student loan debt, but it doesn't affect all borrowers equally. First-generation college students tend to borrow more often than their counterparts. It's a reality that Alejandra Campoverdi, the former White House Deputy Director of Hispanic Media, captures in her new memoir, First Gen. I asked Alejandra to explain for people who have not had her experience what life is like as a first and only.
It is something that is kind of interwoven into the fabric of your life when you're first generation. A first and only is what I call it in the book. Because, you know, you're raised by this collective a lot of times, and you walk into the world with a lot of people at your back. And that's beautiful because you want to see everyone's experiences through. And I talk a lot in the book about these generational inheritances and these cycles that we want to break, and then the cycles that we want to continue. And third, the cycles that we want to set, that we want to be the first one to set. And so there is a lot of isolation in the first generation experience. At the same time, the fingerprints of your family and your culture and all of their expectations and maybe their missed chances feel so real and present.
Can you tell me about a time when your being the first and the only allowed you to see a question of policy, of communication differently than your peers?
Well, in my role at the White House, I was Deputy Director of Hispanic Media. And at the time, there had never been a team that was dedicated only to the Hispanic community, the Latinos. And so for me, it was thinking about how it is that we translated this message. How is it that this message, again, it's the same message for all the country, but what are like the cultural sensitivities that allows it to really land and allows us to feel seen, because that's what we want. You know, that's why I wrote this book. You know, if what people take away from this book is feeling seen and less alone and validated in their experiences, then I was successful.
It strikes me that you are writing a book about being first gen at a time when diversity, equity, and inclusion is under attack. I wonder, as you take this message to college campuses, as you engage with students, understanding the political backdrop of this moment, what it is you want them to take away from it.
Well, the interesting thing is a third of college students right now are first generation students. So we're actually not talking about this like small group here, a very specific demographic. We're talking about millions of students, okay? But also 90% of first gen students don't graduate on time. So the message is really, you know, we have to start talking about this. We have to start talking about why, what's going wrong with, and wrong is the wrong word, but what is hindering like the emotional mental health of these students that's making this beyond an academic struggle. I commissioned a poll recently nationwide of first gen students, and 65% of them said that their first gen experience is negatively impacting their mental and emotional health. And the reason I thought was fascinating, not what you would think and what we always talk about, which is the message I would take to students, not imposter syndrome. We're talking like that was like at the bottom. Number one was financial trauma, and number two was loneliness and isolation. So let's talk about that, because there's a lot of policy changes we can make. There's a lot of ways that we need to reform higher education, but we can't leave the students behind in the very real trauma of social mobility.
You posit a powerful question in the book that I want to put back to you, and that is, you ask, why are we still sold a one-dimensional narrative of what it takes to achieve the American dream? What would it look like if that narrative were multidimensional?
It would look like us talking about the pitfalls, about the stumbles, about the scars, about all of these pieces that, you know, when you're you know, they say when you're skating over thin ice, your speed is your safety, right? When you're trying to make it, when you're just trying to break free, trying to establish a new path for your family, for your community even, you know, that looks very different than the typical American dream. And a lot of times the things that you do along the way are weaponized against you when you get to where you want to be, or the parts of you that were deeply meaningful. And talking about that allows us to not think that we're broken, allows us to not think that we did something wrong. You know, when a lot of the idea of this book came when I was giving a speech, and you hear yourself be introduced. I'm sure it happens to you all the time, and it's like, Alicia did this and this and this and this.
So sparkly.
Yeah, it seems so linear and smooth. And you're like, no, this book is the spaces between the bullet points. That's how I describe it. We need to talk about the spaces between our bullet points to know that we're right on track.
My thanks again to Alejandra Campoverdi. Her new memoir is out now. It is called First Gen.